So guys, Ark Invest has been in the spotlight this year because they made some big bets and a lot of them have panned out really well. So now they've got the reputation where, whatever stock they end up buying is a stock that's probably going to do well in the market. Now we got an announcement recently on a stock that they've been buying heavily in the last couple of months. And I want to spend some time talking about details around this announcement, what my thoughts are. I personally hold the stock, so I want to share some insight with you guys on that as well. So I think overall it's going to be a very exciting video. Now guys, here we can see how Ark was buying the stock from early-ish September and they stopped their buying during early November. Here you can see on the chart exactly where they were buying and buying quite aggressively in a relatively short period of time. And this has paid off massively for them because this stock is up over 40%. So now we need to ask ourselves a few questions in this video. First off, what stock is this? Let's discuss that. Let's reveal it. But more importantly, gotta discuss what caused this 40% move. You guys already may have guessed what the stock is, but we'll get into that. Secondly, did Ark really know about the announcement that happened? I'll share my thoughts on that as well. And then finally, you guys want to know what I'm doing with this stock since I own it, so I'll share some insight there. Guys, smash the like button down below because it helps channel out tremendously. Because this is a stock that we have discussed on the channel plenty of times. The stock, like I said, that I personally own. We talked about it recently why I said it was a pretty good buying opportunity, and any of us that are in this are up massively on our position in just a short period of time. But anyways, enough jibber jabber guys, let's get into question number one here, which is what stock is this and what is the news around it? So guys, the stock is Slack, the Microsoft Teams competitor. It is the company we're discussing today, and yes, the stock is about 40% up in a single day on some crazy news, so we need to talk about it. Salesforce, the software giant that got added to the Dow earlier this year, is reportedly in talks to buy out Slack in a deal that would likely value Slack at more than $17 billion and would make the Salesforce's largest acquisition to date. So this is big, guys, because Salesforce is a dominant company, highly focused software company, probably one of the best software companies, heck, one of the best companies in the entire world. So I think it's right for us to spend some time discussing this. But I do want to preface all of this by saying that right now, everything is just a rumor. Nothing is confirmed by either company, so everything we hear, everything that the news is throwing at us, it's just speculation. Just keep that in mind. But here's the thing, typically when this sort of news comes out, there is some truth to it, especially if it comes from a reliable source like the Wall Street Journal. There is definitely truth behind it because the stock is not just going to move up massively on some random average Joe speculating that there's going to be an acquisition. There's some important people behind this that actually do know what's going on. They've put their bets in there. Maybe Ark was one of them. We'll talk about that shortly. And that's why you see massive moves like we saw in Slack on rumors like this. So a 40% pop, guys, is massive for a company like Slack. And what this tells me is a few things here. Firstly, the market is assuming that Salesforce is willing to pay a pretty hefty premium on Slack. Slack was trading at what, like a $15 billion market cap just a few days ago, and then on this news they popped up to over a $20 billion market cap. So the market's assuming, hey, Salesforce is going to pay a premium for this company. Secondly, the market's assuming that this deal is highly likely to complete. You're not going to see a stock, like I said, pop up 40% if investors don't believe that it's actually true or has a chance of passing, so that's definitely something to consider. And thirdly, well, you can see here that Salesforce investors are not feeling too happy about this acquisition news as the stock took a 5% hit on the day that these rumors came out. But this is something typical, something you should know if you're new to the stock market. When there's acquisition rumors and news, the company that's doing the buying typically gets hit. The company that's getting bought typically sees the stock price shoot all the way up. And that makes sense because, typically the company getting bought out is going to get bought out for a premium. So investors holding that are going to benefit from it. But the company that's doing the buying is the one that's going to be spending money. And who knows, maybe that investment works out. Maybe not. So that's kind of the risk that investors in Salesforce, for example, sees right now. Now, in terms of the Salesforce Slack acquisition specifically, my guess is that they're probably willing to pay between $20 and $25 billion for this company. Now, here's the thing. Today, Slack is sitting at a $23 billion market cap after this big pop. But if you look at Salesforce's balance sheet, they only have around $9 billion in cash and $15 billion in short-term assets. So this is not going to be an all-cash deal. It's not going to be a deal that they can easily fund. And this means that there is most likely an aspect of debt that needs to be raised for this to complete. Even Salesforce's total assets sit at around $58 billion. So this deal with Slack could be worth almost half of their total assets. So I think it's right for Salesforce investors to be, skeptical of this deal, skeptical of if this is actually going to be good for Salesforce long term, because they're putting a big bet, a high amount of their value into Slack here, and bringing that into the company, into their ecosystem, and assuming that that'll pay them out massively over the long term. But from a Slack owner's perspective, guys, we are partying. Our stock is up 40% plus in a week. It's a good time to be a Slack investor. Now let's talk about number 2. Do I think that Ark really knew about this? Okay, so here's the thing. Ark is a pretty big firm right now. They have connections in the business world. They may deny it, they may accept it, I don't know. But I think it's pretty obvious that, being this large, having this much attention, they can get an interview or a phone call with important people if they wanted to. Now here's a view of Ark's history with Salesforce specifically, and you can see they've been buying for years, but in March 2020 they actually sold out of most of their position. But then later this year they did come back and buy more shares. And honestly, this doesn't really tell me too much. They've bought and sold over the years, and that's pretty normal for any hedge fund, firm, investor. Anyone investing in the market is pretty much see this as normal. Now their current holdings are worth around $18.9 million in Salesforce. But here's where it gets interesting. If we look at Slack, like we talked about, this is where it gets a bit suspicious. Slack was trading last year at prices that were much cheaper than it was a few weeks ago or a few months ago, but they chose to buy this year and just a couple of months before this acquisition. The value that they've put into Salesforce is insane. It accounts for $126 million in their accounts, and that dwarfs the $18.9 million that they have in Salesforce. But here is the thing. As of filming this video, Ark has not at least publicly disclosed that they've sold any of their stock in Slack. That kind of hints to me that maybe they actually do see more upside, and if they actually do have some insight into this deal, perhaps the current value of $23 billion for the market cap is actually still low compared to what Salesforce is willing to pay. Maybe Salesforce is willing to pay 25 to 30 billion. I'm not sure about that. I think it's going to be closer to the low to mid 20s. But hey, Ark not selling is definitely a good sign for Slack investors. So guys, realistically, we can go back and forth on this. We can make arguments either way on whether Ark knew or not. It's all speculation at the end of the day. I'll say this, in my opinion, I think Ark got some sort of tip off here that someone is possibly looking into buying Slack. Maybe it was Amazon, maybe Salesforce, maybe some other competitor like Google, who knows? And that may have added to the conviction of Ark, and that's why they bought heavy in the last couple of months. But hey, who knows? Maybe they just got lucky here with buying in before this massive announcement. Myself, a lot of us in the VIP group, a lot of you guys watching as well also bought Slack the last couple of months. So hey, let's give Ark the benefit of the doubt here. Maybe this was just, something that happened in their favor, and now they're up massively because of it. So now let's get into number 3 here. What am I doing with this stock now? So I disclosed recently that I was buying into Slack. I was building up my position there. And guys, I had no idea that Salesforce was going to be, interested in buying this company. I actually thought that over the long term, Google may have been a good acquisition here because it kind of fits into the G Suite. They're kind of working on the whole enterprise space there with their G Suite, Sheets and all that stuff. So I thought Google would be a good fit, and they have so much cash sitting on their balance sheet. They could buy Slack, throw cash at it and not even feel it really from a financial perspective. So I thought that would be a good fit. But hey, if the rumors are true, Salesforce is looking at this, I personally think that's a great choice as well for the company that buys out Slack. I think Salesforce has a massive reach here. They have a lot of enterprise customers. And now if they buy Slack, that's just another product they can push out to those customers and sell them on subscription. So it would be a good formula to have that in their ecosystem. Now, what am I doing with my position? So here's the thing. I'm up like 58% of my position in Slack, but I don't plan to sell because I actually like Salesforce as well. If you are someone that does not like Salesforce, then yeah, maybe this would be a reason to cash in your profits in Slack and move on. If the rumors fall through, stock price drops back down on Slack, you buy back in. if the rumors are true, then most likely we'll get some conversion. Either we get paid out or we get conversion of Salesforce shares. And personally, I'd be happy owning Salesforce shares. It's a stock that I've wanted to buy for a very long time. Never really got the opportunity to buy it at a value that I thought was, all that great. But if I can get in here through Slack, I'm happy. What you do need to keep in mind though is that this is still rumors. So if for whatever reason these companies come out and say this was not true, we didn't really have these discussions, or maybe we did, but the deal fell through, you could definitely see those 40% plus gains get wiped out like that, and the stock could be back to where it was before all this rumor talk. That is a risk you're taking right now by holding Slack, but to me, it's worth it. And who knows, maybe I change my mind on this, but as of today, I'm still pretty confident that the long-term picture for Slack, with or without Salesforce, is still strong, so I'm fine holding the stock. Now, if you are interested to find out if I do sell out or if I buy more or anything like that, check out our VIP group, link description down below. We have a ton of members in there, and I think you guys will find a ton of value from joining as well. Now, keep in mind, Slack is slated to report earnings on December 9th, and Salesforce is actually scheduled to report for December 1st. So this is coming up soon, and we should get more information on this. And chances are we'll probably get some confirmation whether this is true or not, whether they actually put in a bid, whether Slack accepted the bid, all that stuff should be revealed hopefully this week. There are rumors that, this could be closing this week, so we'll have to wait and see. But guys, just be prepared either way. The stock is up massively. If you're happy with your profits, nothing wrong with cashing out. And if you're not, you think there's more upside, nothing wrong with holding on as well. Because Salesforce is a great company. Slack is a great company. I'm in it for the long term. I don't think there's any right or wrong way of approaching this. So just do you and be confident with your decision. So I'd love to hear in the comments below if you own Slack stock and what you actually did or plan to do with your position. Like I said, it's all rumors. Anything can change. So just keep that in mind. But either way, thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to invest positively, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.